Thanks for that, James. Is there a story behind the song, The Frozen Man?
I got the idea for it from an article that I saw in the National Geographic magazine. They found this guy buried up in Canada, up above the Arctic Circle, in the permafrost up there, and they dug him up and took his picture, put it in the magazine. I saw his picture.
This is probably a terrible question to ask an introspective songwriter, but to what extent do you identify with the frozen man in that song, the man out of time?
Yeah, I think I do a lot. I intended when I started writing the song for it to be much more autobiographical than it turned out being. I couldn't bring it off. And it's really, but it is, you know, the song is you don't have to go very far to find that you know, that it talks about alienation or about, you know, being frozen out of time, or feeling as though you are sealed in one shape, or else defined in one kind of pattern or program at a certain point, and find yourself in a sort of waking up in a different world, like Rip Van Winkle. I don't know if Rip Van Winkle is known.
Yeah, we know Rip Van Winkle.
Okay, yeah.
You got your first recording break in London, bizarrely. What do you remember about that time when you came and made your first record for Apple Records?
Well, it was a great time. It was. I arrived here in January of 1968, and I had no plans, no strategy at all. I just thought I'd play a little music here and there and make my way across Europe and see what developed. You know, I was just thinking 1 week at a time. But I quickly ran into some people here, a girl named Judy Steele and her companion, Chris Hennigan. And the two of them were very encouraging, and they said, you ought to make a demo tape and we'll help you take it around to people. Eventually I got it to Peter Asher, who had just signed on with the Beatles with Apple Records, a brand new label. And he played it for McCartney. McCartney liked it and asked Peter if he'd like to produce me for the label. So that's how it started. It was quick. You know, it happened very shortly after I got here, and it was just an unbelievable turn of events.
Were you a Beatles fan?
Oh yeah, I died in the wool. Just a stone Beatles fan. Yeah. Do
you consciously set out to chronicle the passage of your generation as it grows older?
Oh no, I have much less control over what I'm writing than that. I sit down, I play the guitar, and songs come out, you know, if I'm lucky.
Do they still come as easily?
No, not quite. I think I'm better known for my earlier songs, but actually I feel as though the stuff I've written on the last 3 or 4 albums I think is better. But it has less of a sort of an emotional urgency trying to write these things now, and it's more like sort of like a craft rather than some kind of like a therapeutic break or something.
Is it because they're less autobiographical now?
Somewhat. I think I've pretty much said what I need to about myself, and I may be wrong about that, but.
Well, we're going to hear one of your classic songs from the early 70s in just a moment, but before we hear Fire and Rain, can you tell me a little bit about it? How it was written and who it's about?
I can. I'll tell you that it was written there are 3 verses, 3 choruses. It was written in 1968, probably between this time of year and, the end of the year. The first verse and chorus were written upon learning that a friend of mine had died, and my other pals had sort of kept her death from me while I was finishing my album, thinking that it would throw me, you know. The second one, when I left England in November, I had a drug habit, and I was sick when I got back to the States, and the second. I think the second verse is sort of was written to help me out with that a little bit. And then the third one is a little bit less about anything rather than just sort of looking about and sort of self-navigation in a general way. It's not a blues form, the song, but it serves the same function. I wrote it to make myself feel better or to deal with some hard times that I was going through at the time, you know.
Well, let's hear the song Fire and Rain. Thanks, James Taylor.
Thank you, Tracy.